What's going on, folks? It is Thursday. We are back to preview this Sunday's game with the Bears. We look a little bit different tonight. It's half out of your Falcon mind, half pound for pound.
What's
But
up?
that's right. But we're going to have some fun and do it justice, I think, either way. So let's go. What's going on, Falcons fans? It is John from Out of Your Falcon Mind. It is Thursday, coming to you on the Variety Sports Network. I am riding solo today. Our boy Mike, a little under the weather. I think he ate something a little squirrely yesterday, not feeling too good. But hey, it's okay. We got JR from Pound ATL in the house. Toby had to bail last minute too. He had something come up. Nothing, it happens. No big deal. But hey, man, happy to have you here, JR, buddy. What's going on, man?
Oh man, nothing much, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate the invite. And yeah, you're right, man. Life happens, whether it's some bad sushi or something popping up at the last second. Sometimes uh life has a way of just saying, "No, dog, let's do this instead."
Exactly. Yeah, Mike. He texted me. He wanted to come on, and and he called me, and he sounded terrible. And I was like, dude, nah, we need your energy, man. I can't have you on here falling asleep or puking or whatever you're doing. Like, you just take it easy tonight. We'll be just fine. So, but yeah, man, we love having you guys on. Like you guys, like I think I told y'all before, we're one of the first creators we watched. Kind of inspired, not part of the inspiration for us doing what we do.
Right.
So we appreciate y'all, man. Really, really enjoy what you guys do. And anybody that's listening or watching for the first time, hey, welcome in. If you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Hey, the like button helps us out tremendously. Like I say every week, just helps more Falcons fans find the channel and get to us. And if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, just drop us a 5-star review. And that'll just the same thing on the airwaves there. It'll help us get out to more Falcons fans who are looking for podcasts to listen to while they're at work or driving around or who knows what. And also, you can email us at atlfalconfancast@gmail.com. Which JR, we did get an email, dude, and it was really cool. We got it this morning, and it was I guess basically, and I guess when she found out that you guys were coming on, she emailed us. She said, "Rise up, Mike, John, and Pound for Pound. I've been listening to you guys since late last year," which so she's been listening to us since basically we started for the most part. And I love the content. I just started watching on YouTube, and turns out I enjoy watching it even more. Your two personalities mix so well, and Mike has me crying laughing on a weekly basis. That's what he does. That's what he's good at.
That's what you do.
I just wanted to email as I'm not on Twitter. Hey, it's okay. It's not a bad thing that you're not on Twitter. But wanted to show some love. It's so awesome when you guys do the crossover shows. It's so refreshing to see the camaraderie amongst the different shows. I think that we are blessed as Falcons fans to have such awesome creators. Thank you very much for that. Where was that? Oh yeah, I think that we are. But yeah. Now that we have inflated your heads enough, I do have a few Falcons questions for you. Do you guys? And we'll get to this throughout the show for sure. Do you guys think if Marcus has a terrible game on Sunday that it will be his last? I've supported and defended him so much this season, but it's becoming increasingly harder to do these last couple of weeks. Also, do you think we target a free agent for the offensive line? It still obviously needs some help. Can't wait for the show, guys, and please keep doing these crossovers. All the best and rise up. And that's from Michelle.
Hey,
Pretty awesome. How about that?
yeah, it's good stuff. You always like, hearing. That's one of the things that me and Toby enjoy doing these live streams so much is you get to interact with with the people that watch your show, with the comments and stuff down below. It's makes it worth doing.
100%, man. Yeah, and it's. I mean, and Michelle. I mean, yeah, we loved in the crossovers too. That's why we invite you guys on. I mean, we've been on their show, and and it's something that we'll definitely continue to do because we have fun doing it. It mixes up stuff, and we can get other takes. It's not just the same ones from week to week with what we're doing. So yeah, we really appreciate that. But I thought that was cool, man. Yeah, all right, buddy. So we'll get right into it. Bears coming in town. I'm sure you've heard just like I've heard all week long. Justin
Of
Fields, and
course, man.
we took the wrong guy. We should have took
Yeah.
Justin Fields, and all that stuff. And I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, I'm fine with the Pitts pick. I just think we need a competent quarterback
I I think,
but
on that level, like Pitts, that pick will look so much better once you have consistency at the quarterback play.
yeah.
I mean, we've all seen the stat going around now. I think like Kyle Pitts is like what, at 57% of off target throws.
Yeah, something
You
stupid
know,
like that. Yeah.
like, and you can pretty much go back and look at both of his touchdowns were thrown behind him.
Hmm.
His ridiculous catch radius is, what got him his touchdown, so to speak. Um, but I mean, all you really have to do is look at his look at his rookie season. Yes, I know he didn't have the touchdowns, but he had over 1,000 yards.
Yep.
You don't luck into 1,000 yards
Nope.
as a receiver, especially as a rookie receiver. So what's the difference? The
Yeah.
difference is the guy who's throwing him the ball.
Right.
And to her question, like, I think the soonest you see, Mariota riding a bench is when we are completely eliminated from any form of playoff contention.
That's what I said too.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. On the last show, we were talking with Fleek and Trayshawn, and I just felt the same way. I mean, I just thought that, that's kind of Arthur's out. Like that at that point, he can come out and say, "Hey, we're out of it. We need to see what we got with the rookie."
Right.
Whether he truly thinks that there's a better shot with him or without him, who knows? But that's that's kind of where we're at too. And I am wearing the Pitts jersey tonight, by the way, just for some good juju because he needs it on Sunday. Which I think he could have a big day, man. Honestly, looking at this Bears defense, I think
Yeah,
I think he could.
it's rough. They do have a rough unit, but we also have the ability to make rough units look Pro Bowl caliber. So
That you are correct. The good thing is we're not looking at uh, Robert Quinn anymore, or you know, what's his name that just went to Baltimore, just blanked. Roquan,
yeah, Roquan
Roquan
Smith.
Smith. Yeah, so we're not looking at those guys anymore. So that's a plus. That's two big guys that are
That
out.
and on the offensive side of the ball, Khalil Herbert just got put on
Yep,
IR,
yep,
and um, Cole Kmet
yep.
hasn't practiced yet this week, which will be something to keep an eye on Friday. Their report there, if he doesn't practice again, it may be, they're one of their top pass catchers, might be out for the game. But it's a sad state of affair when we're looking at who's not on their team, hoping that we're going to win.
Yeah, no,
You
yeah, I
I'm in
know.
a sense, I'm tired of doing that.
You ain't kidding, man. And the good, I mean, I guess the positive for us on the injury side of things, obviously AJ's been limited yesterday and today, but
Mhm.
he's trending toward being there. I mean, he did talk to the media and said, this is the first time really he's ever had to deal with this type of thing. So he's not trying to jump back in there too fast like he might have done when the Bengals game. So he's wanting to come back when he's 100%. He can cover these deep routes and not have to worry about taking it easy. And because we all know, man, if you're out there not 100% and you're trying not to injure yourself, you're probably going to injure yourself more
Yeah,
than likely.
exactly. That's
So
it. Like, you want to be able to go out there and play full speed,
exactly.
and that's when you're, when you're worried about like your legs, or like you're worried about pulling something or tearing something. That tends to be when you do get injured.
100%. Yep. And I mean, looking at how their defense has been playing, they give up a lot of run yardage to the offense, their opposing offenses, and they're not great over the middle. I mean, like they're soft, they're intermediate, which is if Marcus has a strength, that's it. I mean, across the middle type of little slants and digs is like what we run all day long. So I mean, if that's something that we could exploit. I mean, you're looking at Jack Sanborn, which I think wasn't Toby really high on Jack
Yeah,
Sanborn back in the day.
Toby was very high on Jack Sanborn.
Dude
Him
played his
and
ass
his
off last week too.
I think he was higher on his running mate Leo Chanel.
Yeah,
But he was high on Sanborn.
I thought so. Yeah, and he played well last week. Played really well
Hmm.
for stepping in, starting, and but he's one of the starting linebackers this week. And looking at their, I mean, Jaquan Brisker, obviously Eddie Jackson's a guy you have to watch out for, ball hawking type of dude. But yeah, I mean, they don't generate a ton of pass rush. I mean, which God knows with our offensive line, we need as least amount of that as possible that we can. Because
I don't know.
man, we
They don't have to generate much. We tend to give it up.
oh
So
my God, man, I just you look at the because I was having a conversation the other day talking about how we were all so high on the offensive line earlier in the year, like, oh man, look how much they've gotten better since last season. Which, yeah, they have improved, especially in the run game. They improved, but we started seeing some of the passing game. We're like, man, this
and
looks
that's
the same,
yep.
or if not worse.
That's
Like,
the thing is like outside of Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom, you
yeah,
pretty much got nothing, right?
yeah,
Um, and early on in the season, in a way, offensive line wise, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors.
yeah,
It was a lot of, you know, roll Marcus one way or the other and have him complete passes that way.
yep,
Like move the pocket, move the launch point, the things that you weren't able to do with Ryan last year.
hmm,
So, you have Ryan back there or a quarterback such as Ryan who can't move, and it would look just as bad
oh yeah,
because every time Mariota tries to just set up with a straight drop back, it's almost pressure immediately.
it collapses, yeah, and that's and I think Mariota's been sacked 26 times this year. I mean, if that's a Ryan or a Ryan type, that's probably 40 plus.
Oh, by now, easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that's tough. I mean, and I was thinking earlier in the season, like, okay, McGarry's looking like he's wanting that contract, but now not so much. Like
No, no. I
he's
mean,
falling off too, man. I mean, just
again, like we're 4 years into his career,
yeah,
and McGarry cannot handle a speed rush,
nope.
like at
I mean,
all.
the last play of the game, dude, he doesn't get his hands on that guy
No,
of the
he just
Carolina game. It's like, what in the world?
right. And in a division where you have, a Brian Burns and a Shaq Barrett and a Cameron Jordan, and it's like you can't do the one, handle, a speed rush. And it's like, come on, guy, you gotta at least be able to get your body in the way.
Yeah. Exactly. And speaking of offensive line, everybody's favorite left guard reported to practice. Mr. Mayfield's back.
The
Um,
redemption arc is upon us.
Man, I mean, with all the injuries we've had, I mean, he's a big body, right? I mean, we'll see, I guess, what
I will
he's.
say this. I will be interested to see Jalen Mayfield doing what we do now. I don't think he'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just interested to see it.
Hmm.
I'm just interested to see because this year, you know, hats off to Dwayne Ledford.
Man,
He's,
yeah.
a saying that I've revisited these last few weeks. It's just because it makes me chuckle. He's made, chicken salad out of chicken blank.
Hmm.
And it's no more than evident than rolling out, you know, Wilkerson, then Hennessy, then Gossett. It's like, man, come on.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's one thing after another just keeps happening to that side, and I mean, which makes Matthew's string of 100+ games played is more impressive. It's like, dude, like how's that? I mean, I don't want to jinx him, knock on wood, but I mean that, yeah, I mean, thank God he's been healthy. That's the thing, though. I mean, we're so thin at a lot of places. Like it's if one guy goes down, or we've seen it in the secondary, but I mean, like it really, really affects our team. I mean, like, just who knew that the secondary would affect our rush defense so much?
Oh, dude, it's
I
Toby
mean,
pointed that out last on Tuesday night. It's something I hadn't really even like brought the correlation to. Sadly enough, was talking about like without Hayward and Terrell there,
mhm,
like you're not able to stop the run the way you were early in the season,
mm-mm,
and it just speaks to what the expectation of what Pease brings to his defense, like what he's asking out of these guys. He really does tend to, you know, prefer the backside working forward,
yeah,
coverages too. And it's not just like, without Terrell and without Hayward, the those guys that are out there, the Cornelius Armstrongs, the Mike Fords and Isaiah Olivers at times, and um, I'm trying to think of the other guy that Darren Hall.
Darren Hall,
Um,
yeah,
like the fact that they can't cover as long as you're seeing, Ebiketie and Lorenzo Carter and D'Angelo Malone, they're not able to get to the quarterback. They
Right.
need that extra second or two.
Hmm. Yeah, there's
So
yeah, there's
that's
definitely a correlation with that because I mean, we saw those guys getting so close to the quarterback when they were in and getting home sometimes, but now, we're not seeing that at all because I mean, they're just like the quarterback can get the ball out pretty quick and get it to
right.
whoever they want. So, I
Yeah,
mean, that's
that's definitely the deal. Like, I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Ebiketie as a rookie.
mhm,
I'm excited to see where the next 2-3 years go with him because he's getting real close.
yep,
Um, haven't we had a whole bunch of rushers that are getting real close? But it's nice to see the win rate and the pressure rate be as high as it is with a rookie. Those tend to eventually turn into sacks. And
right.
you hope maybe with fully healthy Terrell and maybe a fully healthy D Alford, maybe some of those can start getting back into sacks or fumbles.
Mhm, 100%, and looking at, I mean, the Chicago's offensive line, they're not any great shakes either. They've kinda had their issues all season long, and especially with pass protection as well, so, that goes into Justin and what he brings to the table, and obviously, I mean, the dude's had, I think, something like I had it wrote it down earlier, like 60. Let me find it, yeah, he's rushed the ball 62 times in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah,
And which is insane. He's on pace to break Vic's record once total, single season record for a quarterback rushing, which is just nuts. He's got
that's
700,
got to worry you as a Chicago fan.
right?
I
Right.
mean,
I mean,
look, as seeing the guy, prove a lot of people wrong in aspects has been interesting to see from like an outside perspective, looking
mhm.
in. But like, if I'm a Chicago fan, that worries me.
Oh yeah.
Like putting that kind of wear and tear on. Yeah, I get it. He's, 6'3", 220 or whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. That just historically that hasn't ended well for QBs.
Anybody. No. I mean, like, there's and that's you can look at, I mean, RG3, you can look at a lot of different quarterbacks that, probably ran more than they needed to, and they end up on the wrong side of things, and that's, that's and yeah, Justin's a bigger guy, but, I mean, even he didn't do that much running in college. I mean, like, it was, he was more of a pocket type thrower guy. He's gonna throw first type of guy, but man, 104 rushes this year for 749 yards so far. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, I've tend to heard like when you're talking about running backs, and I'm not saying obviously he's not a running back,
Yeah, yeah.
but when you're talking about running backs, like 300 carries is almost like a death sentence.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
serious. Like think
Oh,
think
yeah.
about Turner.
Yeah. I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly right.
you hit that 300 carry mark, and you're getting hit that many times, and we're about halfway through the season, and you're telling me he's at 147,
104, 104.
104. Okay,
Yeah.
I was about to say he's almost halfway there.
Yeah,
That's scary.
I know, and I mean, that's something that, you would think they'd wanna limit or at least slow down, and that's a lot of it, though, is, he's the pocket breaks and, collapses, and he's extending a play and running downfield, and that's, one thing Arthur mentioned that he's worried about, obviously this week, but, the place where quarterbacks don't deal with rush well is up the middle, so, they're both their guards are kinda iffy, if Taquan and Grady can get a good push up the middle and our edges can at least keep
Contain.
him. Exactly. Not over rush, not pass him up the field, and just keep him there. We might be in a good spot because it's much easier for a quarterback to run around the edge than it is to try to run up the middle. You right
Right.
into the heart of the defense. So that's what we kind of hope for. And you to me, I don't know what you think. I mean, to me, this kind of sounds more like maybe a Troy Anderson type of on the field looking at this guy because he's one of the few guys one of the few athletes we have on defense that could actually track the dude down.
That was a point that I brought up on Tuesday. It was like if there's ever a game where you could benefit from having three linebackers on the field, I think it's this game. Or like even if it's not Troy Anderson, even if you set Isaiah Oliver as a spy,
Yep.
I think you're going to, depending on how this game unfolds, like you're gonna have to spy him,
Yeah.
and you know that means you're going to have to dedicate coverage resources to trying to contain a quarterback, which is ultimately what they want to do.
Yep.
Because if you're committing, right now the big hot trend in the NFL is drop eight,
Yeah.
right? So you want to drop eight into coverage and just rush with four. Well, if you just rush well, actually you just rush with three,
Mm-hmm.
because if you just rush with three and you're able to actually get some pressure and you're dropping eight into coverage, you're containing pretty much every possible throw.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing that, that means nobody's there to account for Justin,
Right.
and he's just going to pick up first down after first down.
Yeah. There's no way that can happen. Yeah, we
Right.
can't have that. Yeah, and so I mean that's why I'm hoping that I would like to see more Troy. I would like honestly, I like to see more Malone out there because he's a lot quicker than Okundeji. I mean, as far as
That's
just
the
speed.
one. Like Ogundeji being basically non-existent this year,
Yeah.
it's not worrisome because like you hear the concept of sophomore slump all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it really feels like that sophomore slump has hit him pretty hard.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really hoping that he bounces back. But this year he seems to not be the force that we were hoping he was going to grow into.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, and just not. I mean, from what we've seen from D'Angelo on the field, I mean, he's had little spurts where you're like, oh wow, like okay, that's kind of what we thought we would see. When he was in college and stuff we saw, at the combine. We're like, okay, that's that type of spark that got him drafted in the fifth round. And so I mean, with a guy like Fields, I want as much speed on the field as possible. I mean, so I mean,
Right.
because he's just gonna, he's gonna break. This is gonna happen during the game. He's gonna get 100 plus yards rushing. That's being probably more than likely. But I mean, you want to have your best resources out there to do it. Like, if I'm gonna go out, I want to go out with all my bullets and then the gun. Man, I don't want like have Evans out there, and Walker, and that's it. Nobody else to, what I
To
mean,
help contain.
help out.
That's
Exactly.
like, you know what? He can get his 100 plus rushes as long as it's in between the 20s.
Exactly. And we've been
Like,
doing a pretty good job of that. I mean, like we'll give up yards all day long, but our red zone defense, we will make some stops. I mean,
right.
we've done it all year long. It's maddening to see. Just watch the teams go up and down the fields. But I mean, that's the kind of things that, if we hadn't done that, man, our record would look a lot different. We would be having probably a different conversation right now.
Well, I don't
But
know if we'd be having a different conversation.
it'd be more dark. It'd be a little bit more dark. But
It
Big
wouldn't be
Pop, what's
nearly
going
as
on, buddy?
uh as joyous or joyful as it is.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, and then just how I think as far as how they're going to look try to beat us. I mean, if AJ's in the game, um, they just signed dude from Pittsburgh and
Yeah, Claypool.
Claypool. Yeah, Chase. So I mean, big receiver. Hopefully AJ's healthy and can you know be in the
Well,
game because
like since they traded for Claypool, like his first week, he got a pretty good amount of targets, and then in like the last week or two, it steadily
dropped.
declined,
Yeah,
which has been interesting to see. You give up a second round pick for the guy,
right.
and you're not throwing at him.
Hmm.
Like, everybody on our side wants to like be like concerned, like not concerned, but like somewhat frustrated about Brian Edwards. We only gave up a fifth round for him.
Yeah,
It was a boomer bust type, situation. Well, not boomer bust. It was, high reward, low risk
yeah.
is what but Claypool was not that for them. They traded a
Mm.
second round pick to, try to inject some life into that receiving core.
Yeah, I would say vastly needed because they were hurting bad there. I mean, Fields had no target, no weapons whatsoever on that
Now
as
you had
far as
Darnell Mooney
Darnell Mooney and Montgomery, I think, and that
right.
was that's all you're talking about. So yeah, he needed that badly, and I mean, if I just I don't see either defense doing a whole lot of stopping. I think we're going to probably let them running up and down the field. I think, and even with Marcus's recent struggles, I think, like I said, I think if he can't be successful in this game, let's put it that way, this is a perfect game for Marcus to be
I
successful.
mean, they gave up 31 points to the Lions.
Yes, Jared Goff ate him alive.
Right. And
So
we all know that Goff is not that good of a quarterback.
no,
Like, we all know that.
no, no,
And so for him to, carve them up the way he did, it makes me go, okay, well, maybe this is a game where Mariota can look somewhat competent. Kind of like he did in the San Francisco game.
yeah, yeah.
If we can get that kind of production, oh, you're saying, oh, JR, yeah, 13 for 14, darn near perfect. But yes, I mean, if you're only going to ask him to throw the ball 14 times, I would imagine that it's going to be high percentage throws.
You would think. Yeah.
I wouldn't think you were going to ask him to continuously thread the needle.
Yeah, and I mean, and unfortunately, like looking at, and we've done enough piling on Marcus the last few weeks, but I mean the I saw a stat today. I think it was downfield throws over 20 yards. He's next to last.
Oh yeah.
And I think only Andy Dalton is worst, but he's fifth in the amount of attempts he's taken over 20 yards. So that should tell you, man, like that's a big problem. You're fifth in the amount you're taking over 20. You're damn near last of the amount that you're completing. I mean, like it's just, and that's what we were trying to bring up last week when we're talking with Fleek and those guys and Trey. I mean, like it's not a I can't stand Marcus or anything. There's nothing that has nothing to do with any of that. It's just looking at, you can't look at it on the field and say that's not a huge deficiency. And you can't say that the other coaches aren't the defensive coaches that we're facing looking at it going, well, this guy can't throw downfield, so we know how we're going to set our defense up.
Right.
If he
stop the run and clog the middle.
Yeah, and if he hits us deep, hey man, congratulations,
right?
You got us on one.
But right, a blind squirrel finds a nut, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, that's what's frustrating, man. As fans, it's not anything to do with dislike of Marcus or anything like that. Like I said before, it seems like a great dude, great human being, but I mean, I just don't want him as my starting quarterback. That's all. But I mean,
that was my thing. Like in the off season, was I said to myself, I'm like, if either Marcus or Desmond hit, it's nothing but a boon for us.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about, an aging veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he could recapture what made him, a Heisman winner or a Heisman finalist. I can't remember if he actually won or not.
Yeah, he won. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if he could recapture that, right, then awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
You can have your quarterback for the next 10 years because he's only 28.
Mm-hmm.
Or if Desmond is the guy, awesome. Great. You only spent a third round pick on it. And you can now continue to build your roster without having to try to find the quarterback.
Yep.
But that's where, you find yourself in the predicament of, all right, we're halfway through the season. We're still theoretically in a good position to win the division. And do you take it, or do you do you try to ride it out with Marcus, who you know what to expect from him, and hope that, his veteran presence, it's hard for me to really talk like that because he's just not showing it. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
But I'm just trying to put my mind in the mindset of what the coaches are looking at.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you turn to the third round rookie at this point?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, totally. And listening to some of the players, I listened briefly to Jake Matthews, and they asked him about what he saw in Marcus, and he, same thing everybody else has said, like he loves his calm demeanor, his leadership, like all the players love him. And I get that, like Drake actually said, he takes it personally, kind of takes it personal when people take shots, stuff like that. Like that's how much respect he has for him, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I get all that, man. Like, but it's also a business. It's also, and Marcus knows this. Marcus said it he said it in his press conference. He said, this is a merit-based business. You have to, that's how you perform. You get jobs based on how you perform, and you keep jobs based on how you perform. Right. So it's not like he's not aware of it. And that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it at length, man, on Monday and or after the game, whatever that was, last Friday. And it's like it just had nothing to do with anything other than we could just, at this point in the season, we've seen 10 games. Nothing's really changed
I mean,
from the past 8 years. I mean, like
right.
nothing's jumping out at me to say like, oh man, I think he's turned the corner. Then you have to ask like the people that are still holding on. Okay, well, how long are you going to give him to turn that corner? Like,
Right.
are you willing to give him another year? Like, how long are you going to wait? I mean, like,
Right.
we can't go into next season not knowing who.
And
I mean,
that's
that's we got 90 million. If we have 90 million to spend, man, you don't want to have a question mark at your quarterback position.
no,
I
I mean,
mean,
because right now you're looking at a quarterback that is at 61% completion rating, which is actually higher than I figured it was. Um, 1,700 yards, a little over 1,700 yards, averaging
mm-hmm.
7.6 yards a play, 12 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Yeah,
That's not great.
yeah,
Now, for adding, that's 12, 15. He's responsible for 15 because he's ran for 3.
right, right.
So 15 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's, at this point in the season, let's take who would you consider to be a mediocre or like a around average quarterback?
Well, it's
Kirk
interesting.
Cousins.
I could actually. I mean, the guy that we're facing on Sunday, he's 1,489 yards, 58.7%, the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions, 12 and 7. He's been sacked 10 more times. And of course, we already talked about his rushing yards, 104 for 749 yards, where Marcus has went for 63 for, which you don't want Marcus rushing 100-yard time. That's just not, we
No.
don't want that. But I mean, Fields is a tick behind him, man. Just a tick behind him.
And right now, like, Kirk Cousins is passing at a 64% completion rating for 2,356 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. So you have to ask yourself, like, is the yards that important to you?
Right.
And in a way, like you said, JR, why is that such a big deal? Well, because yards extend drives. Whether it's whether you end up with a field goal or a touchdown, it keeps your defense off the field for a little bit longer and gets them a little bit more, breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Exactly.
So,
I'll jump in the chat here real quick.
yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
of a native, yeah, but I just put it back in there. Yeah, Mike got sick, man. He ate something bad yesterday, and it hadn't been a good day for him, so he had to bail out tonight. Big Low in the house. What's going on, buddy?
What up, Bo?
Good to see you, Low. He said Justin Herbert been pretty average this year.
Yeah, I was just looking at Herbert's numbers. Touchdowns to interceptions has been about the same. 14 to 8. It's the yardage that's a major difference.
Mm-hmm.
From Marcus to some of the other guys that are out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and like I said, looking at the game, I mean, do you see it being kind of high scoring? Or do you think it's going to be? I mean, it's hard to tell, man. Every time I seem to be, I think it's high scoring. We scored 15 points, and
Right, like
it's.
I thought, I thought the Chargers game was going to be a little more out of whack, than what it was. And I thought the Panthers game had a chance until I saw the weather report. Then I was like, no, that's going to be an ugly game, and it was ugly.
What we thought too, yeah.
But I mean, it has a chance, and my big fear is like it has a chance of. I know this is going to sound silly, but I just don't know if I can handle like Justin Fields going off. I think I'd have to turn Twitter off for a week if that was the case.
Man, I mean, it's very well possible, man, because he's going to have a ton of family and friends at the game. Mm-hmm. The dude played high school 10 minutes from me. I mean, like he's
yep.
a hero around here, man. I mean, like, so yeah, he's going to have a lot of representation there. So he's going to want to do well. I mean, obviously we passed on him. Like you said, we've heard all week long, that's we've drafted the wrong guy. And I think it was our buddy Steven on Twitter. I said, man, you can't let that stuff get to you, because we could make a hell of a damn good team with the guys we passed on. I mean, you
can't sit there and dwell on all the players that you didn't get.
Mm.
Like I catch myself doing that from time to time with TJ Watt,
because
I was super high on TJ Watt that year, and he was there for us, and we took Dak McKinley instead.
Aaron
you
Donald
know.
was there for us.
Yeah.
We didn't take him either.
Right. I was
I
super
mean,
high on Aaron Donald that year as well.
ugh, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
it's a deal where you can't beat yourself up on that stuff. You can't really even entertain that because there is absolutely no telling who's going to hit and who isn't.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you were to redo that draft today, Fields is probably a jag.
Yeah, because that's the thing when we've talked about on the show before, man, the hit rate on quarterbacks is so low. It gets
It's
disturbingly low.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so
And to
like
think last year that you were going like all those quarterbacks were going to hit. You had Lawrence, Wilson, Lance,
Jones.
Fields, Jones. That was all in the first round.
Yep.
You had 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Like to think that those were going to hit was crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Native said Prescott, Carr, and Ryan are all mid right now. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. I mean, when there's no question the offensive line, like we've talked about, has been not good in pass protection.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? They were also not good last year, if not worse. Right? And Ryan was on his face or his back almost every time.
Yep.
But still got almost 1,000 yards. And everybody was saying Matt Ryan needed to go, and he was what? Well, that's fine. I do agree. He was older, and he probably needed to move on, but that's my point. Like the offensive line has not changed much as far as pass protection goes,
Nope.
and our weapons got better. Like Pitts was literally the only weapon we had last year with the injuries we had. Him and CP, that was it. I
Yep.
mean, like other than that, it was. I mean, when
you had
Oz was our
Zacchaeus and you had
Oz. That was it.
Oz. Yeah, like I said, you had Oz and that was it. And this year, for all the folks who like want to, I'm not like blindly sticking up for him. He's made some like interesting, like head scratching decisions, but like what Arthur Smith has been able to do with the, talent that he does have, on the offense has been nothing short of like impressive to me.
Yeah, I agree. Same
It
here.
shows you that if you give him just a little bit more talent, I think things are going to look dramatically better.
Absolutely. And Big Low said, "You're right, Jr. The lack of yardage shows all of those missed opportunities."
That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, I'm watching, like I got Twitter open on one of my other screens, and and it's Mina Kimes talking about the 53 targets and 25 receptions that Pitts has had, and it's just the amount of those targets that are just how you overthrow a 6'6" tight end.
That one last week was, my God, man, the flat like that. And it's funny. Trey said on Monday, on Friday. I keep saying Monday on Friday's show. He said, "Man, I'm so happy this game was on prime time because everybody's talking about it because everybody can see like, man, what are y'all doing down there? Like, why are
Like
you?" So
like
they start
like you
looking
can
at
now
numbers like,
see why like Pitts is looking the way he's looking with the 47% missed target and all that jazz. It's pitiful, and
yeah,
the
yeah.
decision making is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and our buddy from Falcons Corner on Twitter, basically, as of now, Drake is on pace to catch 65 balls for 691 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Kyle is on pace for 43 receptions, 523 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like that's
That's
half of his production last year, man.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous for a number 4 and a number 8 overall pick.
Yeah.
And that's the part that makes you infuriated as a fan, going, okay, we're all staring at what we perceive to be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we all think that it's Mariota. All the fans think that you have, talking heads all over the country, putting up articles, is it time for them to switch and all this other stuff. And it's like, the coaches have to know it. And that the other players have to know it.
Yeah, you'd think.
Like people talk about here, like this year that, Kyle Pitts may have been loafing on some plays, which I don't agree with, but like, could you blame him? Like,
Yeah.
he knows he
Yeah.
ain't gonna get the ball.
Yeah, it was funny. I think Carrie, one of our listeners on the last show, she commented that that's that same thing. She said maybe it was just because he figured it would be overthrown anyway, so he just chilled on it. But
He's like,
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, Native said, "You see Ryan's 40-yard run last game. We should have kept Matty Wheels and moved the run game over through him." Yeah, we did see that, man. That's the longest of his career, man. I mean,
And the funny part is, it's longer than any run Mariota's had all year.
that's true. That's
And
true.
that's like, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
With his 7.4 speed, man. That
I was
looked
about to
like that.
say that speed training finally is getting into effect there.
Man, it looked like he was running through sand. I mean, like it
Oh
was
my
great to
God.
see, but it was funny. It was funny as hell to watch. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the production, man. There's no other way. You can't for the folks that are constantly defending Marcus. I mean, like there's no other way. Like you can only say the offensive line so many times, man.
Right.
I mean, it's the same offensive line. If anything, with him being able to move out of the pocket and keep the pocket rolling, you
You should
should be
be
better.
right. It
I mean,
should be better. It should be more productive. It like this offense, like I said it early on in the season. Like, I take a lot of things back. I was of the camp that yes, a mobile quarterback is nice, but I was not in the camp that it's the end all be all.
right.
Like if you don't have a mobile quarterback, you might as well throw in the towel, which is what a lot of people I interact with on Twitter. That's the feeling that you got from them.
Hmm.
And I had to like eat a little bit of crow because I was like, holy crap, the mobile quarterback actually made this offensive line look decent.
Yeah,
The smoke and mirrors of being able to, have everybody run that way and him run the other way.
exactly. Bigelow said Lorenzo Carter has the same amount of touchdowns as Kyle. It's not good, man. Lorenzo Carter plays defensive end. That's not supposed to
That's
happen.
not that's yeah. You don't want that.
No, not at all. And yeah, I mean, and you look at and everybody says with Desmond, I mean nobody knows if he's going to be better or not. But I mean, just from what we've seen, like I mean, Marcus, and this is not this year. This is his entire career. He's always had happy feet in the pocket, right? He's always gets jittery. He's one read, he starts, and then his
He's
decision, like you
gone.
said, decision making's not great.
Right.
His reading a defense is not great. So that all that stuff, we didn't see that with Desmond. I mean, we didn't see it in college, even in the limited time he played during preseason. Of course, he made mistakes, but there was a lot of just stepping up in the pocket, making the
And
throws,
ripping it.
ripping it, man. And
Yeah,
that's
like climbing. Like when's the last time you seen Marcus actually climb the pocket and deliver a strike down the field?
exactly.
And we were commenting on it's like, recency bias in the sense that all of us have, that game winning throw to Bernhardt,
Hmm.
in the Detroit preseason game. But I think a lot of it has to do with you can you can accept those kind of mistakes from a rookie.
Right.
It's hard to think that you're going to be able to get past those kind of mistakes with an 8-year veteran.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, the especially when I'm going to call the like educated fan base. Like the fan base that takes their time to watch people like me and you are a different breed than your casual fan base,
Yeah,
right?
agreed. Yeah.
That's why I don't ever assume that anybody that shows up in my chat is unknowledgeable.
Hmm.
Because if you're sitting there listening to me, that means you got a problem. And that problem is you really like football and
Yeah,
you really want to get more information about football. Like I have more of the problem because I'm on the other side of the microphone talking, you
that's a
know?
fact.
So, but you can accept those kind of mistakes from a rookie. And as we have all stated, a lot of us followed up with, you need to know whether you should be continuing to look for a QB.
Exactly.
In a class that's coming out with, guys like Will Levis, guys like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young and, Hayden Hooker.
Hmm.
Is his name Hayden?
Hendon. Yeah.
Hendon.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker. Like with these guys, coming out and potentially coming out, you need to know, look, should I seriously be considering them?
Hmm.
Or am I good? Am I good with what I got? Can I work with this third round, rookie?
Yep.
And I think that's all we're really asking for.
Exactly. And Native said Ryan had a bad O line almost his entire career. Yeah. And he still threw for more yards than Marino. Yeah. I mean, there's only so many
That's
times you can use that one.
right. People like to, we all do it, right? We all like find things that support our narrative,
Sure.
like whatever bias we have. And, I try not to be, I try to be forthcoming with any bias that I have because, I think we all have them.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
purposely, hung these jerseys behind me you know, for a reason,
Hmm.
so the people can understand where I'm at. I mean, Ryan's my dude,
Yeah.
right? But like his red zone production would make you pull your hair out.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with that compared to a Brady or a Rodgers,
Hmm.
like how many times as a Falcon fan you're watching, you get inside the 20 going, oh God, are we actually going to score this time?
I know. I know. Yeah. And Julio, that I mean, he didn't do Julio any favors in the red zone either.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
like it
mean,
was,
how are you gonna
but
be like an alien freak
yeah.
and have only one season with double digit touchdowns? Like that's crazy.
It's almost hard to believe that. Native also said Ritter doesn't have to be better; he just has to develop. Yeah, I mean that's
Right.
what
And
J,
that's
that's what Jr. is saying. I mean, you just hope you get that out of him this year because I mean, and like you said, like on our show, I've been more fair by far than Mike has been as far as one on Marcus. And Marcus, he didn't want Marcus from day one. Like
uh
he just wasn't a fan before. Didn't think it was going to work out this time. So he hasn't been killing him. He's been he's still been giving him his props when their props were due. But he just he preferred to see Desmond. That's just been his thing the whole season. I've been more like, okay, let's see how this goes. Let's
right.
if we're winning games and he's not costing us games, then okay, I can understand why you're still going to play him. Brady messing this whole thing up by sucking and keeping us in
That
this
man,
division
come
race.
on. Look, had Tampa Bay been doing what they were supposed to do right out the gate, we wouldn't even care right now.
Nope.
Like legitimately, we wouldn't care one bit.
No.
Had Brady done what he was supposed to do, what he looks like he's starting to do now,
Right.
but and had they done what they were supposed to do down there in Tampa and just take the division and run with it, like wouldn't nobody be caring at this junction?
No.
Granted, I think we would have seen Ritter by now.
See, that's it. That's the one thing everybody, I think you guys talked about it. We talked about it beginning of the season. Is we all assumed by week 7, 8, 9, we're going to have Ritter's going to be in there because we're going to be out of the division race. Tampa Bay's going to be running away with it. Like Tampa Bay not being good was never part of the conversation.
Never,
Like
never.
that was never considered. So I mean, the fact that we're still technically in it, and Mike he said on the last show. Granted, Mike was really on the last show he was really down. I mean, like he was.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know if he would have actually. I've got a score prediction. I think I said. I was watching Trey and the ATB guys last night. I said, if Mike predicts a Falcons loss this week, then we've got a whole big problem that we got to discuss because like Mike's never predicted a Falcons loss ever. But he was down after the last Thursday, really down. And like, he said for him it was just like an acceptance game. Like he was just kind of like a back to earth type of game. Like, okay.
Right. Like, okay, yeah, we suck. I get it.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah. So
Yep.
but he at the same time he we went back and forth there in the game about like whether you should bring Desmond or whether you should not. And I said, nah, not in this situation, not with this weather. Like it's not ideal for him. Just let
No.
him. I kind of deemed it to like as a pitcher that you just want to eat some innings. Like okay, just leave Marcus in there, let him eat it up, and to see what happens. We'll get him in next
And
time.
like
But
the way I see it right now is, we've said it already a handful of times, is the coaching staff still feels like they're in it.
yeah,
At the end of the day, they want to win football games.
yeah,
And they're going to do what they think is the best way to win a football game, whether we as fans agree with it or not.
mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that, being at home against the Bears would be a great time to start Desmond,
Yeah. This
you know,
honestly is the best week in my opinion.
but obviously they didn't see that way.
Yeah.
If you've, because the whole like starting the rookie can go 1, 2 ways,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're in the mix of it. Is it could give you the spark, and that's what every fan thinks is going to happen, or it could completely and utterly derail the continuity.
Exactly.
And so if you think you're in the race, and you're like, well, if this derails my continuity, then we're out of it completely until we can get it back going again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Native said Tampa screws us even when they are bad. I hate that guy. Yep. 100%, man. He freaking beats us on the field. He beats us not even in
Even when he's playing bad, he beats us. It's like, what the heck?
He's gonna play till
Like,
he's 70. I don't even.
oh, dude.
Yeah. Oh my god. But
Mm.
and my point with anyway with Mike, he did say he was like he said I keep hearing Arthur and everybody say, oh, well, we leave Marcus in there because we're in the race. He was like, how about he goes, I believe he goes, is it not hurting us more? He's like, well, we maybe not be more into the playoff race with Desmond. And he's like, obviously nobody knows that because we had never seen Desmond. He goes, but he goes, my God, if he can at least, and we talked about it with the Bolt Bros, we talked about it with Trey and Fleek, if he can complete, I don't know, 30 more yards per game, 40 more yards per game, we may be talking about a different record here. I mean, like that's the sad thing about it.
No, yeah, I completely agree. As far as like, if you don't know, and for a fan base, that's the unknown is always better.
Yeah.
Like, you always have it, it's the grass is greener
Mm-hmm.
situation, correct? Like, you in your mind, you think to yourself, it can't be no worse.
Mm-hmm.
When it really can. Like,
Sure.
it really can be worse. But, you know, just like, honestly, until just tonight, I'm over here looking at all the different, stats with folks. I'm like, huh, like, he is actually on par with Kirk Cousins and Carr and Ryan. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's like, this has just been a weird year.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and I'm glad you said that too, because it kind of brings me to my next question. And we've talked about it briefly, and I did a little video, a little 15-minute video earlier in the week, because after Arthur's press conference, and he got everybody riled up, saying, look, if Ritter's going to start, you'll see him in practice. I'll let you know. This is nothing that So that everybody got everybody pissed off, and so
he's pretty good at that.
he is really good at that. So I did a little video, just kind of like, because after Mike said on the show about kind of reassessing, like for him it was like an acceptance game, and it kind of like made me think, like, you know what, let me step back here and take a look at this thing, like just from a different overall perspective. So, but good beginning of the season, we're all thinking 5, 6, 7 wins, 8 win maybe tops, type of category, and all of a sudden we're winning, and that everybody changes everybody's expectation level. And I think I even commented on you guys' show the other night about this. I mean, everybody, that little bit of success got everybody up. It's like, oh, what could we possibly do in Tampa Bay sucking? We might be able to make the
Yep.
playoffs. All this stuff started happening. And then now these last 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, we've seen it just kind of like slowly just decline. I mean, like steadily every week. And even with the Carolina win, who that felt like a loss. I mean, like like it's just been steadily getting worse. And yeah, the injuries definitely played a part in it, but all that to be saying, like, okay, so this is where we're at. Like, this is kind of what we expected, right? I mean, we
My
expected. I mean, like, as far as the overall performance, the only difference is we just figured we'd have Desmond in by now to see what we got with him. I
my
mean,
my biggest thing, and something and I tried to tell myself, because I let myself think that we were gonna, you know, magically turn from, a pumpkin into a carriage last year.
yeah,
And I told myself, I'm like, all right, you weren't
not again.
realistic. Like you weren't realistic in the sense of, like, you're the same way, Big Low's the same way. We study this stuff. We look at it. We look at it, whether people believe it or not. We look at it uh unobjectively. Like,
Right.
we look at it, without, we try not to put a filter on it,
Yep.
and whether we like always back our team or not is not necessarily the same as just saying, look, I know what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I let myself like get talked into the what if, what if, Arthur's play calling comes in and flips the script, and that was the last piece needed, so to speak.
Yep.
And obviously it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
You had Ridley do what he did. You had Mike Davis like just forget how to be a running back.
Be a really good blocker. Yep.
Yeah, be a really good blocker.
Yep.
Nobody saw Scordell or Patterson coming out of nowhere
No.
like he did. But the fact that coming into this offseason, I was like, you know what? Not going to do it again. You know, you did what you did trying to go after Watson. You took that swing, you missed, you traded away Ryan, and then, a day later you signed Mariota. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
Yep.
Like, yes, I get why you signed Mariota, because you needed somebody that you were familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
You draft Ritter. Didn't think that he was going to have a chance to start, unless he just absolutely blew away Mariota. But then in the preseason, they were even at camp. Mariota looked okay.
Yeah.
And but
No,
the deal was like,
Mariota had me excited actually after preseason. Like, I mean, and from I know we didn't see him very much, but what we saw looked pretty good. I was like, wow,
yeah,
let's
you were
just
like,
maybe
all
just
right, if I can get this for
exactly,
16 games, or
absolutely,
17 games.
hmm
But what I kept saying in the off season and kept saying to the fans as much as to myself was, as long as we can be competitive.
hmm
Right now, that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for not to be an absolute embarrassment every time we step on the field.
yeah,
And here we are, 10 games in, and we're not an embarrassment. We are
and
what we are.
yeah. And as I've heard Toby say 100 times, and he has to remind me sometimes. This is the second year of a rebuild.
That's it.
So,
It's the
I
second
mean,
year of, and I'm talking like I got a video coming out tomorrow. But I'm talking about a complete teardown.
mhm.
Like, you traded Ryan, you traded Jones, Julio Jones, you traded Deion Jones, you traded Calvin Ridley. Like,
Jared
that was
Matthews, the only one left, man. The
right.
only two left.
Like, that was a huge chunk of your core.
Yeah,
Like, Terry Fontenot came from the Saints organization. And he came from an organization that perpetually kicked the can down the road
hmm
and perpetually had, a guillotine hanging over their neck.
yeah.
And I almost felt like he told himself, I ain't going to do that.
Nope.
Like, I know what I ain't going to do. I'm not going to have, cap space or, cap hanging over me like a guillotine. And he even said it. It's like a Band-Aid. It's going to hurt to
Yeah,
begin with, but you got to rip it off. And the fact that they've been able to, the past 2 years, field a not so embarrassing team with no cap space whatsoever,
yeah,
doing it off of scrap heap players and draft picks, makes me really excited about what are they going to do when they got anywhere from, you walk into the offseason with $73 million.
yeah.
That's without doing anything. You make one
Exactly.
move, which is cut Mariota,
Quarterback. Yep.
you go up to $85 million. You make another move in releasing like Casey Hayward. So say maybe you're like, oh well, he is old. Let's not,
hmm
you know, appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah,
trying. We move on. Say you release Casey Hayward. Say you don't bring back Lorenzo Carter. Now you're up to 91 million
yeah.
with a few little moves.
Yep.
You're up to $91 million in cap space.
Yeah, and that's why I try not to be overly critical. I mean, because you kind of just have that, like you said, everybody fights that fan in them, like we
Oh
do,
yeah.
especially because,
Oh
like you
yeah.
said, with the shows, we try to be as fair as we can. And like I said, I mean, Mike lets it. I mean, we everybody by now, if you've watched the show for a while, y'all all know Mike. He wears it on his sleeve. He's gonna let it fly no matter what. And that's why we love him for it. But I mean, and that's why I was saying I've been more fair with Mariota because I was fine with him starting. Like I was like, I was okay, okay, okay. And then all of a sudden I was like, I started seeing little chinks, little chinks, little chinks. And now it's like, okay. And just got to the point. I get it. Like I'm not Arthur. Like my job's not on the line. So I can say it all day long. I
Nope.
can say, man, we just need Desmond in there now. And it doesn't affect me. Now, like you said with him, if he makes that change and Desmond sucks and we're out of it, damn, that sucks for him because he just, you got everybody, including probably his boss, on, dude, what the hell? You had Marcus and we were winning, or at least we were in it, and then you bring in Desmond, and then what happened? That type of thing. So like,
Mm-hmm.
and then or if he brings him in, and I said this before in a few shows ago, if he brings Ritter in and he kills it, everybody's like, well, why didn't you do this 3 weeks ago? so like he's kind of in a no win.
Yeah, all I'm saying with that situation is you better have an answer, like when the whistle sounds on game 17,
Yes.
you have to know at that press conference, at that end, game over press conference, somebody's asking, is Mariota your starter next year?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you run through the rest of the season with Mariota, Like that's question number one if you're a pool reporter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, and you got to look at it also from the free agency. I mean, you got to look at who's going to want to come here not knowing what the quarterback situation is. I mean, I mean, we want Atlanta to be, we're gonna have a bunch of money, but guys, they want to win. They want to
That's
come to a
it.
place they can win. So if Desmond comes in and he looks like he could be the guy, like Trey said on Friday, he can come in and struggle. That's fine. But if he shows all the traits that a good NFL quarterback can show, that's all we want to see, because all
Mhm.
that stuff can be developed. And
Right.
and not only if we can see it, that means other players can see it. So if when you're looking at free agents that you want to try to get here, you can't go into next season going, well, there's going to be a QB competition and we'll see what happens. Like
Right.
I
Like,
mean,
especially if you're trying to attract high quality talent.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
here's this, hear me right when I say this. If you're trying to attract high quality talent that doesn't have a ring yet,
Yes.
then they have to know that they're going to a situation where they have a good chance of getting a ring.
Hmm.
Like that's like early on, everybody's like, "Oh, we should get Ndamukong Suh." Why in God's name would Ndamukong Suh want to
Why?
come here?
We're
He
not
just
one
signed
player
with
away.
Philly.
We're not
You know
one
why
player
he
away.
just signed with Philly? Because he felt it was the best shot to get a ring.
Absolutely.
Like so, there's been rumors going around that like a Quentin Nelson might hit the market next year or
Hmm.
this off season because cap casualty or what have you.
Right.
Why would Quentin Nelson want to come here if he don't think he can win a ring? You're going to do one of two things. You're either going to have to pay out the nose for him
Yep.
because you're going to have to offer him one of two options, preferably both. But you're either going to have to offer a Brinks truck
Yeah.
or a ring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now we can offer the Brinks truck
Oh
next
yeah, we'll
year.
have that.
We'll have the Brinks truck,
Hmm.
but you just got to hope that that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And they just want them to see that they are the pieces that are in place to get them there. There's
Right.
no guarantee. Obviously, they know that, but they don't want to come here. If and then that's the thing we brought up too. If you go into the next season with a competition and Desmond cannot beat out Marcus, then we picked the wrong quarterback, or we have ourselves a third round backup. It's
Right.
basically what we got,
That's
which I
and
mean is fine.
something
But I
else.
mean,
Something else to keep in mind. Like I hope people keep in mind is you had an extra third round pick this year.
yeah,
So in a way, whether you want to chalk it up to Mariota or who was the other third round, it wasn't because Malone was a fifth round.
yeah. It was Troy was one.
That was second round.
Was he second?
Troy was
Oh, you're
because
right. You're right.
you had 2 second round picks.
You're right. Um, Dang, you guys help us out in chat
Did
if
we
you
only have one third round?
was it? Was it
No,
the
because we
Matt?
got 2 third rounds because we got
Didn't
one from the
Matt?
third round from Ryan. Now I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to pull it up. Y'all
yeah.
gonna have to bear with me if you
No, you're
see
good. No, you're good.
stuff
I
like
can.
buffering or something.
Native said on the bright side, even if we lose this game, we'll probably see. Yeah, you'd hope so. I mean, my God, man, if we lose to the Bears, I mean, and Tampa wins, yeah, I would hope to see him in the next game.
Yeah.
And they said, I wonder who would be better for Ritter's development, Mariota or Ryan. I mean, from a knowledge standpoint, I mean, it's hard to go against the guy who's been in the league for 14 years, but I think also Mariota's experience is a little different. I mean, the fact that they are similar quarterbacks, and
It was Malone.
was it?
D'Angelo was the third round pick. I thought
I
so.
mean, damn, I thought he was
Because
later for some
Algier was
reason.
the fifth.
You're right. I had that mixed up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
I
was
was
thinking
like
D'Angelo was fifth.
when you said Malone was a fifth round pick, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, he was no, and then
Yeah,
no, like Malone was the third round pick.
yeah, you're right. But anyway,
So sorry.
yeah. No, you're right. I was
I
just going back
completely
to
derailed you.
no, you're good. I was just going, yeah, and a native would ask, I wonder who'd be better for Ritter's development, Mariota or Ryan. And I was like, of course, Ryan would be great. 14 years guy, he's going to be a stand-up guy. But as far as stand-up guys, I think Mariota and Mark and they're
That like
the same.
to be a professional part,
That's it.
that's like Mariota's fine. And in a lot of ways, like Mariota is a better model in a
Right.
sense of
Very similar
this
style.
is how we want it to run.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's not doing it right,
Correct.
but at least this is what like he almost in this system,
Right.
Mariota is showing you what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least there's that.
Yeah, and the fact and the fact too that he's been through within their conversations. I mean, like you said, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's number one pick. He got benched. He was a backup. Like he's got all this wealth of experience as well to share with with Desmond that Ryan would not have had as far as that part goes, because Ryan stepped in and was 11-5 his first season, and went on to have the career that he's had. So I mean, I think he's in good hands either way. I think either way, that's kind of a wash. But like you said, maybe it'll tick higher just because of the way that we are supposed to run the offense. But yeah, man. So overall, what do you thinking the score might be this Sunday? You thought about it?
Yeah. I actually, with a potentially new segment starting up, I was messing around with some game simulators just to see, and they didn't turn out in our favor. But I could easily see something along the lines of like 24-28. I think it could get, closer to a high scoring affair. Um, and I see the Falcons winning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that Fields has a field day, all puns intended. But I have to say, if you can't eke out a win against Detroit, that
Yeah.
gives me a little bit of hope. Um,
Yeah, he
so
can't do it by himself.
right, and that's kind of the thing. Is as great as Fields is, he even made the statement that, again, if I'm a Bears fan, I'd be a little concerned. He was talking about a day or so after, like, his legs felt dead.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I read earlier today that he's basically his week consists of just being with the trainers and not doing hardly any running whatsoever, because
right,
he does enough of it on game day. So
right. And so, I
I
mean, I'm
mean,
not saying that obviously ain't affected him so far.
yeah.
He's a young cat.
Hmm.
It's a young man's game for sure. Um, but I think you know, Unova native over here is talking about the score is either 31-28 Bears or 31-28 Falcons. And I feel like it's going to be that kind of a game.
Yeah, me too.
Um, so with that being said, it'll probably be a defensive struggle
Yeah.
with a score of
10 is
12
10
to
to 7.
15. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah. Mike sent me his prediction earlier. He said 24-14 Falcons. Which, I mean, I think they're scoring probably. I think they're scoring more than 14. I think they're probably going to be in the 20s, probably 20 range.
Yeah, I
And
would imagine
we've
three
only
to four scores.
and we've only scored over 30 once this year, right? And that was the overtime game, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, because I thought to myself, the first time you score over 30, you're going to lose it. Like, what the,
yeah,
you know, um,
yeah,
but no, I think we'd be back home in favorable conditions, 10 days off. Um, all that stuff favors us,
yeah, yeah. I agree.
you
And like
know.
I said, like I said earlier in the show, I think they're susceptible, man. They come up to stop the run, and those over the middle, intermediate type stuff that Marcus hopefully can hit. And has been pretty successful at. I mean, I think that's going to be there for us. So I think Kyle can have a big day. I think Drake can have a big day. And Oz can do his thing, find a little open spots like he seems to do every game,
Right.
and make a big play for us. And I mean, if something opens up over the top, okay, fine, take it. But I'm not.
Overthrow Pitts or Demir Bird or
Yeah,
whatever
I
you're
just
going to do. Get it out of your
yeah,
system early in the game so that we can, you
yeah.
know, focus back down,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I just, but whether it's Fields or whoever's running the ball for them, and same for us with our trio of guys. I think both teams should be able to run the ball pretty well. And I mean, if that's the thing too, that could be the monkey wrench there, is if both teams are running the ball well, this could be a really fast game. This could be
Yeah,
like
we could be done by 3:30, yo.
exactly,
That'd be nice,
exactly. It could be.
kind of get back into, I'll be doing you know, family like Thanksgiving type stuff this weekend. So,
Mhm.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, getting it over with quick,
Yeah,
whether
man.
whether it's good or bad at this point.
Yeah, right. I mean, it could be 6, 7 total possessions or something like that, and then them 10-minute drives, and that's that.
And then
But
that's the ball game, folks.
yeah, exactly. Then you see the last half hour of some other game when they switch
That's right.
over.
That's right.
But yeah, so I'm thinking probably like staying around you guys, probably 27-24, that type of thing. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But man, that's it. We'll get to enter out here, that new segment that we'll play. Then we'll get out of here tonight for everybody to go on about their Thursday night.
Yeah, catch
Um,
the Titans Packers game tonight.
mhm. I picked up Christian Watson after last week, and I didn't start him though because I was
Gotta
like, yeah,
see. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta see
Hey,
if he's
look, dude,
back in the game,
for the first time ever, I'm like 8-2 in fantasy this year.
dude.
Like, right. It's been
I'm 4 and whatever. I'm 500 right now, but I'm
there
only
you
I'm a game behind for because my division's kind of crappy. So like I'm a game behind, so I'm still in it. So
go. There you go.
all right, man. So in or out, NFL being a tradition for you on Thanksgiving Day, man. Is that something you've always done, or is that
Um, Not well in the last few years, yeah, because like my brief story is, like I didn't start watching football until '08. I didn't
right?
grow up watching football,
Hmm.
um, and so you can kind of say, it's been one, since '08. It's
Yeah.
I like to put it on, um, while hanging out with the family and stuff of that nature, and I will be convincing whoever's house I end up at this year to throw on some football.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm definitely, and that was, man, growing up. I mean, my dad had on the preview show starting whatever it was, 11, 12 o'clock. And it was just, I got, the music's, I can remember it, John
Oh yeah.
Madden, the turkey leg, like all that thing, man. Like, yeah, and then I've done the same thing with my son. So, I mean, he's all into it, loves it.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
it doesn't matter who comes over to our house. That's just guaranteed. It's going to be on. So y'all just, whoever that has to deal with it, that's just kind of
It's gonna have to hate us. It is what it is at that point.
exactly. So speaking of Thanksgiving, are you in or out, buddy, on pumpkin pie?
Out, out all day
Are you
long.
out?
I am out on anything pumpkin.
Oh man.
The fact that somebody looked at this orange thing on the ground and said, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to eat that." You know,
Yeah,
is
well,
beyond me. Like I don't.
you have to try my wife's with a whole bunch of whipped cream because it's the bomb, man. She put some
Uh,
cinnamon in there, man. It's
uh,
good. I'm telling you.
nah. If you gotta do that much to it, you probably shouldn't eat
No, I just like this whipped cream. I put probably 6 times as much whipped cream as
it.
you
There you
probably have
go.
on there.
There you go.
That's just because I do the whipped cream, but it's okay. All right, from what you've seen this season, buddy, are you going Jalen Carter or Will Anderson if you had to pick?
So far this season, if we're talking about just this season production, I'm
Yeah,
going Jalen Carter.
yeah, I'm with you.
Uh, I've kind of started digging into the um prospects, watching cut
Mhm.
ups and stuff, or watching the all 22s of the college world, and I have not been super impressed with Jalen Carter. I mean, with Will Anderson,
He's had a
like
rough season,
I
man.
was
Yeah.
expecting, but Jalen Carter, holy Pete, man! Especially if you wanted to
Phew.
put him next to Grady Jarrett, that
He's
could be
wrecking
real
havoc,
fun.
man. Oh yeah, wrecking havoc. Anwar says sweet potato pie all day. Yes, sir.
Well, it's because I mean, people don't have any taste, but that's all right. It's okay. I forgive you.
All right, man. So P's defensive performance this year speaks more to the talent he has on to play with than it does from his coaching or scheming. Are you in or out?
I am in on that. And I have to say that because, like, the amount of experience that Pease has, the defenses that he has put on the field, and what he was able to do before, Hayward and Terrell went down.
Right.
Like, the defense was looking good, you know?
Hmm.
Um, like this year, he's playing, I don't know if he's got a mandate or whatever, but he's playing a lot more rookies this year, whether that's product of what you had to do or whatever. I mean, you have, Horn, who's an undrafted guy. You got Graham, who's a second year guy. Anderson, who's, a rookie. Malone, Ebiketie. Like he's playing with a lot of young talent, and he does have a very complex scheme.
Yes.
Now the question is going to be like, are you in or out of him saying, you know what, I'm done with this and I'm going home?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because I
I
just
mean,
wonder if he's going to come back next year.
yeah. I mean, he says like he talks like he's going to. That he
Yeah,
loves
he acts like he's
building
like,
it and
yeah, loving it and all that
loves the
jazz still.
defense. Yeah. I mean, Native said if the Ritter isn't the guy, I want Bryce Young so bad. Crimson Tide. Bryce has fallen a little bit probably this year too. I mean, whether or not, I mean, maybe his size is, but I mean,
He's showing some chinks in the armor as well.
yeah,
He's showing that he's have like a
I
lot
love
like,
Bryce.
yeah, a lot like Aaron Murray. I don't think Aaron Murray is helping his case. I know that sounds weird,
Yeah.
right? But Aaron Murray is like if the play don't break down, he's not succeeding.
Hmm.
And in a lot of ways, like Bryce Young, if he's like he can make something happen, he's got to get out of the pocket, out of your traditional throwing lanes, so that he can see what's going on. Basically,
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you talk about the smaller guys. I mean, like, you know, obviously everybody can point to Drew Brees, say, well, I mean,
right?
that's definitely he's the outlier of those guys. But I mean, and me being a Bama fan, I love Bryce too. And then to me, watching Bryce gives me a heart attack sometimes because he is so calm in the pocket. Like sometimes be like too calm. So sometimes I'm like, dude, you got to go, man. Like get out of the pocket, like
Yeah,
run.
do something because you got
Yeah,
to go, dog. But
exactly.
no,
Yeah. But I mean, but no, I still, I think, the combination of them not being typically an Alabama team that they've been over the past years is affecting it a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, he's still going to be up there. I think
I
top
think
three.
it's still going to be between him and CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
I know
Gabriel's
there's
probably
already
still
some.
number one.
Yeah, I
Could be.
I know there's some already pundits that are like penciling Will Levis in, and I'm like, I ain't seen nothing from
No,
Will
man.
Levis that says I'm going to take him over Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
Nope.
Like if you're saying, oh, because he could be the next Josh Allen, well, you're smoking crack or something.
Yeah,
Because
just because he says he patterns his game after him doesn't mean that he's going to
right,
be him.
like come on, like Josh Allen of like the first year in the league, he looked like a train wreck.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming either. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he was inaccurate. He was like, nobody saw what Brian Dabble was able to, pull out of there. And if you think your team's got a Brian Dabble, then you got another thing coming.
That's another thing with Alabama, dude. Bill O'Brien's got to hit the road, man. Oh my gosh.
I don't know
Too
what
much.
pictures he has of Saban, but holy Pete. And
Dude.
I'm not a professed college fan. I
Yeah.
like you hear like how some folks on Twitter talk about football, how they just watch
Mhm.
players. I just watch college football because
Mhm.
I enjoy college football. I don't have a
Right.
team,
Yeah.
you know. Like obviously, I say obviously, like theoretically, I would like Georgia to win, I
Sure.
guess,
Yeah.
but like it doesn't break my heart if they lose,
Mhm.
And so, um, but yeah, Bill O'Brien, holy Pete, why are you still have him on staff?
I don't know, man. I could spend a whole other podcast talking about some of those decisions this year, and I'm not one of. This is a Falcons podcast, so I'll stick to that. Gabriel said I wouldn't take Levis in the first 3 rounds. I mean, I haven't. They
The
lost to
games I've
They
watched, he hasn't done
you lost
anything that looks all that important to me.
you lost to Vanderbilt last week. If you're, I mean, I'm
Enough
sorry, man.
said.
At a
Enough said.
college level, you
You
got to
can't
beat
beat
Vanderbilt,
Vandy.
brother.
Come on.
No, yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, we'll close it down, man. We spent over an hour here talking about everything that's going on with the team. The quarterback dominates a lot of the discussion because, I mean,
Most
his
important spot on the field.
most
If you ain't
spot.
got one, you ain't got a team.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's something we got to talk about. And, looking at the game, like I said, on Sunday, I mean, if like what we talked about, man, it just simply if Marcus can be competent on those middle throws, we can run the ball. We should win the game. I
That's it.
believe just because
Yep.
we do have more weapons. We do have
more talent, I think.
more talent. I mean,
It's
that's just
just
kind of
right now we don't have the talent in the place that it's needed.
yeah. Yeah. So
So
we can't have ridiculous turnovers. We can't have the whirly ball throwing in the air. Like we can't be doing that
right.
junk. So and which was funny, by the way, I did see, I think it's Tori McElhaney asked Marcus. It was so funny, man, the way she asked him. It was she said, hey, Arthur did speak about not letting plays extend too far and pressing and making so can you point to a few times you think that's happened over the last year? I'm like, are you serious?
Come on, Tori. We can all point to a few times.
You're gonna ask a dude who just got blasted on social media for throwing the ball from his back? Like, of course he can point to a few times. I think
Just a few.
yeah, that was
Just
funny.
a few.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, we appreciate y'all watching, man. Again, Michael, hopefully get better and be back for the recap show either on Sunday or Monday. Hopefully we can do it Sunday because it's an early game, so we should be able to knock that out. But we'll keep you posted on social media. Man, JR, it's always a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you having me, man. And
man, appreciate you having us on.
We'll definitely do it again when Toby's able to be here and Mike. We can all have a blast. But y'all can follow us on as always. You can follow us on Twitter, Out of Your Effing Mind. Follow you can like the Facebook page, Instagram, Out of Your Falcon Mind. Guys, hit that like button if you really like the content. We really appreciate it. This helps us get it, like I said, get more out there to more Falcons fans, and subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends, tell all your family, man. We have a good time here. We have talented guests on, like my buddy JR here. So it's always a good
I'm
time.
looking for that talent you're talking about.
Just you're too humble, buddy.
Ah,
But all right, boys, we'll catch you guys on Sunday. Let's get a win on Sunday. How about
yes, come
that?
on.
All right, we need it. We need it. Everybody
Big
needs it
time.
for our energy. Got to get back up again.
That's
So
right.
y'all have a great weekend. We'll catch you on Sunday. Much love, guys.
Appreciate